day, we're seeing more cold cases cracked thanks to detective work and investigative genetic genealogy. But do these cases have an equal chance to be solved?
Yeah, during Black History Month, we're taking a look at why sometimes it takes longer to identify African-American John and Jane Does. Investigator Sarah Goldenberg explains the challenge and why some experts are hopeful this could change soon.
I care about people.
Lisa Fanning is passionate about volunteering her time as an investigative genetic genealogist for the DNA Doe Project.
Investigative genetic genealogy is a wonderful field to get into if you love genealogy research, analyzing ancestry DNA test results, and solving mysteries.
She helps track down leads to identify John and Jane Does, but not all cases have an equal chance from the start. We've learned African Americans are underrepresented in the public ancestry databases genetic genealogists use to solve cases.
Unfortunately, there are fewer African Americans doing ancestry DNA tests, so some unidentified persons who are African American are harder to identify. And it takes much longer to identify them. So we really do need more African Americans to do ancestry DNA testing.
For families of the missing, DNA testing could finally bring them answers matching a John or Jane Doe case to their loved one.
I think a lot of times people fear that we are actually analyzing their DNA and can do something criminal with it. But what we're really doing is looking at a database of all of the people a tester is genetically related to. And what their likely relationship is to them, first cousin, second cousin, third cousin.
We recently brought you the case of Lafleur County Jane Doe in our series Unidentified. This woman died in a semi-truck crash in Oklahoma back in 1990, and she was last seen in Cleveland. It's been a challenging case for the DNA Doe Project for the last several years.
Everyone deserves an identification.
Jennifer Randolph, Executive Director of Case Management and Operations, recently told us they're still looking for closer relative matches. Besides ancestry databases being disproportionately European and white, she says investigators sometimes face another challenge when it comes to building family trees to identify African American John and Jane Does.
If you have to go back in time many generations, say 4 or 5 generations, as we often do, you are well into the period of enslavement in this country. And at that point in time, individuals were treated as property, enslaved individuals. So there aren't records that necessarily bear their name or age. So it's very hard work and it's very slow going.
Lisa tells us she doesn't see these issues as roadblocks. She sees them as challenges that can and will be overcome. One solution:
enhancing collaboration among entities working with unidentified individuals and those groups dedicated to tracking missing persons is crucial.
Another solution: getting more African American genetic genealogists in the field.
Like any other profession in America, I think it's crucial for the field to mirror the diversity of our multicultural society. But also, I believe expanding the number of individuals with unique cultural experiences in the field could help increase the number of cases that are solved.
New records are becoming available as more and more people submit their DNA to public websites like GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA. And that could generate new leads in cases like this and help solve them. Sarah Goldenberg, 19 News.